welcome once again to the Centre for Missional Leadership, and it's a great privilege this morning to have George Verwer with us. And George, you've agreed to do one of our 5 minutes with interviews. We've done a few of these so far, so we're going to start the timer and then do the 5 minutes. Is that good with you? Thanks so much for coming in this morning and lecturing. George has just done 3 hours with the students. It's been fantastic. It's been a real privilege to have you here. But let's start the timer now. George, one of the things that you were saying this morning was about you've come to realise the importance of grace. What particular was it that led you to that realisation of the importance of grace in Christian leadership?
Well, salvation, when it exploded in my heart in a Billy Graham meeting, to realize it was all of grace, it was not of works. And then as I studied and memorized scriptures, the message of God's grace. But then books came into my life that brought me into what I call grace awakening. That is God's grace now functioning through your life. 1 John 3:16. In this we understand the love of God. He laid down his life for us. So we now lay down our life for others. Grace awakening, God working through us.
Right, thank you. Well, one of the things that I observe, having heard you a lot recently, is how balanced you are, just in terms of you're wary of extremes, and yet you seem to be balanced in a way that doesn't kind of dumb down Christianity. What are the things that have led you to have this more kind of balanced view in terms of Christianity?
I've been very privileged to meet a lot of godly people who represent different ways of thinking. And that has been such a huge help to me. People like John Stott here in England, and yet my spiritual father, Billy Graham, very different from John Stott, in America. And as I do a lot of reading and I observe a lot that's going on, and it does seem to me that the biblical road is a road of balance. It's radical, it's commitment, but it's not weird, it's not extreme. And that one of the most important things in our life is to mix the divine factor with the human factor. No matter how filled we are with the Holy Spirit, we're incredibly human. And so things like common sense are very important.
Okay, a more kind of human interest type thing. What kind of things do you do to relax when you're not travelling the world and doing all the stuff that we know you do?
Well, I'm the kind of person that relaxes very easy. I very much enjoy music. I enjoy a good film. To some people's upset, I often do email as I'm watching the film. Depends what film it is. I don't really like to do 2 things at a time. I actually prefer to do 3. I love to walk along rivers. I play a bit of golf. I love certain food, especially after I miss 1 or 2 meals. Then the food becomes really more appetizing. So I've learned how to relax. I've had a great married life. I think balance and reality has been part of our 51 years of fulfilling and happy marriage. 3 kids, 5 grandkids. So we're all different. Of course, I love reading. I never get enough reading.
Sure. Okay, another thing. In terms of one of the things that's happened recently is there's been a shift in people's thinking. So we've had a rediscovery, if you like, of seeing mission as what we do in this country. So and that's one of the things Centre for Missional Leadership is about, obviously training people to see work not as an alternative to mission, but as people's chief sphere of mission. That's a good thing, I'm sure you don't acknowledge that, but do you fear that we might throw the baby out with the bathwater and move away from what we've traditionally called encouraging people to do cross-cultural overseas mission?
Yeah, I think in all of these things, whenever there's a new concept, a new book, we need to work to find the balance. And so many things that we're debating are not either or issues. They're both. And even a lot of the big heavy controversies that hit some churches, they don't need to be, because it's both. You got people heavy on worship having a debate with those that are big into work. Let's do something with our hands. Let's get out and work in the community. Of course, it's got to be both. And we need to be more missional, and we need to focus right here where we are and see that everyone really is an ambassador of Jesus. At the same time, we can't neglect nations where the church hardly even exists, where millions have never even once heard of Jesus. That would be very unfair. So I believe we can keep the balance. I know you will.
Sure. Yeah, and we endeavour to do that here. How can we, as well as having this focus of reaching postmodern, post-Christian Britain, nonetheless, how can we kind of, under God obviously, cultivate vocations for those who are called to kind of cross cultures and go overseas into different nations, different cultures?
Well, these are huge issues, but one of the things, we need to be more grace awakened toward each other and the different ways that God leads us. We need to have less simplistic cookie-cut answers, more understanding of paradox, of mystery, that we're all in a pilgrimage, we're all learning. Certain Christians especially shouldn't be too hard on themselves and realize it's going to take time to cultivate some of these giftings or to see a breakthrough in a particular area. So it's exciting every step of the way, but we need a lot of grace, a lot of forgiveness, a lot of 1 Corinthians 13.
Okay, finally, what country's particularly on your heart right now? And what are you praying for that particular country?
Well,
That's the end of the interview, but you can do...
yeah, Libya, the whole Middle East. We have 800 people working among Muslims, so all the countries where Muslims are dominant, and now Muslims flooding into this country. This is really our greatest passions. But I'm a multi-passionate person, and we got a lot of irons in the fire, and God gives us the grace.
Great. George Verwer, that's 5 minutes, the end of the interview. Thank you for guest lecturing here at CML this morning, and thank you for doing the 5 minutes with interview.
Yeah.
It's great to see you again, George.
Okay.